All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series 86 Voyager class sweep. And yeah, here we have our sweep, who is, as you might have guessed, almost the exact same mold as Studio Series 86 Scourge. There's one molding difference that we'll get to in robot mode, but for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much the same figure. Obviously, the one big difference here is that the color blue that they chose for the plastic is a bit different. For the original Scourge, they have a bit more of a darker blue, which is pretty much more similar to what he showed up as in the show, whereas this lighter blue is a bit more similar to what the original Scourge toy looked like. Because, obviously, there was no sweep toy in G1, it was just Scourge. And in the cartoon, they pretty much looked exactly the same. So, if you really wanted to be the most screen accurate, you'd pick all three of, or like you'd get four of this guy or four of this guy. But I prefer having the sweeps be slightly different, and it's cool that Hasbro has done that for us. But yeah, he still looks good in his vehicle mode. It's pretty much the exact same paint deco in all the same places. The only real difference is the molding of the plastic. The only one difference that I found in the paint scheme, which is kind of an odd choice, but it's neat, is that these underwings on Scourge, they decided to paint the back of to match this lighter blue plastic. Cool. I don't know if they really needed to do that. Like it kind of works either way, but I appreciate that. One thing that's worth noticing, I do have a few copies of this guy. I've got three for my three sweeps. And on one of them, one of these wings doesn't really stay flush. It works okay on this one. I do find that sometimes it kind of likes to pop up a little bit, but mostly it stays all right. But something to keep in mind. That might have been the case with certain copies of Scourge too. I have no idea. But something worth mentioning. But yeah, he looks good in his little spaceship, space canoe vehicle mode here. He comes with the same gun that Studio Series 86 Scourge came with, just obviously cast in that lighter blue. So you can see what those look like together. When they announced this guy on the the Transformers Hasbro Pulse live stream on YouTube, they said that he comes with a new blast effect accessory. No, he doesn't. This is the exact same blast effect that came with Scourge. It's like maybe a shade or two lighter of a plastic, but they wouldn't really say that that's a new blast effect. Maybe they just forgot that because it's not like in the live stream itself they showed this, and I was thinking at the time, I was like, that looks the same, but maybe it's like slightly different. But no, I can't tell any difference between these. It's even really hard to tell the color difference on camera. But yeah, no, it's the same blast effect, which is not that big a deal. It's fine that it comes with the same blast effect, but worth mentioning since they did kind of make a big deal on the live stream, is like, oh, it comes with a new blast effect. No, it doesn't. That's a lie. But yeah, in terms of storage for the gun, it has the same kind of bad storage that a lot of figures have, where it's like, just peg it onto the side of the vehicle mode and there's your storage. I still really don't like that because I think it kind of messes with the whole look of the vehicle mode. I prefer weapon storage where it like actually stores underneath, hidden. But what can you do? In terms of other comparisons, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, with getting ahead of myself there, with Kingdom Cyclonus, just so you can see what they look like together. Again, the same as he looks with Scourge. And here he is with Kingdom Galvatron, just so you can see how they look like together. And here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, just for that standard size comparison. But yeah, not much else to the vehicle mode. It's pretty similar to Scourge. The only real difference is, obviously the lighter blue and then the fact that these are painted, but that's not really that big a deal. So to get onto transformation, first thing you want to do is take these flaps and then fold them out to the side like that. Take these middle panels here and kind of untab them. They kind of hook in up here at the top. And then take these whole sections and they kind of untab from the back here a little bit. And you kind of want to just get them up and out of the way just a little bit, just to make the next step a bit easier. Because then you take this whole section of the front here and you want to kind of fold it out to the side. It can be kind of tricky sometimes, but there, just fold it out like that. And then with these sections, you want to take these little fins on top and just fold them flat. Take these back sections here and fold those to the back, just like that. And then take this whole section and kind of double hinge it up like that to be part of his wing there. You want to take this little flap. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you. You could open this flap to have his head be visible in alt mode. Whatever. I don't think it looks particularly good because it has this big flap there, but that is a feature. But yeah, you fold it up like that, and then you take this whole section and fold it into the what will be the body like that. Then you can untab this whole section, bring it up on this armature, and then you want to fold it at this double hinge so it sits at that orientation just like that, and then take the hinge and it actually like plugs into the body. Then take this back flap, fold it onto his back, which kind of brings this bit back with it most of the time, but you need to just bring that the rest of the way. Then you want to take the wings here. There's a little slot right there that goes onto this tab. Again, if you're familiar with Studio Series 86 Scourge, it's the exact same transformation. And then his arms here are just tabbed into his legs. Fold it up like that, clip it into the body, and bring those down. Same thing on the other side. Then untab the legs, flip out the toes, flip out the heels, and then last but not least, you want to take this little bit on the top of his head and rotate that around to look more accurate to the cartoon. And there you have the Sweep in his robot mode. And yeah, I mean, he looks pretty similar to Scourge, as you might expect. Again, when we get into comparisons, I'll show the single difference that there is in the sculpting, but otherwise, pretty much the same figure. It's got the same articulation. The head is on a ball joint here, so you get a good amount of wiggle back and forth. Can rotate it around, although obviously, it bumps into his little, his little collar piece at some point. The arms can rotate all the way around, although bump into the wings. Can rotate up to the side like that. He's got a bicep swivel, about a little over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. Has a wrist swivel, a waist swivel. Hips can go forward, back, out to the side. He's got a thigh swivel, which is pretty stiff on mine. Little over 90 degrees of bend at the knee there. The feet can tilt, but they sort of like pop back into place. Well, at least that one does. This one works okay. And then you can adjust the toes and the heels here a little bit. That's, more the heels would be useful, but not really a tremendous amount of toe articulation there, which doesn't really need. The wings, I mean, you can kind of fold them back as far as, like about that far, or keep them flat up against the body. These parts of the wings, you can fold it a little bit. So if you want more of like a curve to his cape here, then you can do that. It's the same as Scourge in that, like, really, when you look at the transformation, almost no part of his robot mode is visible in the vehicle mode, aside from like his head, sort of, which is, on principle, I guess bugs me a little bit, but isn't that big a deal since he does look pretty good in both modes. Obviously, you can have him hold his weapon here, and the blast effect still works, as you would expect, same as usual. You can, if you want, like turn his little headpiece around, and then this bit right here is blast effects compatible, so you could have him like shooting out of his forehead. You just have to turn that piece around to do that. Pretty cool, but otherwise pretty much just the same as Scourge. The only sculpted difference between the two of them is on Scourge. If you're looking at his hands here, you can see that they're asymmetrical, where he's got one open hand and he's got one kind of closed hand. They both hold weapons just fine, so I'm not sure why they did that on either mold. But on Scourge, the right hand is the one that has the closed fist, and the left hand is the one that has this open hand like that. So what you can do is, if you just undo these two little screws here, you can switch the hands, the right hand between the Sweep and the Scourge, so that Scourge actually has both open hands or both closed hands, whichever you prefer. So with one of my other sweeps here, bring them on, you can see what the difference is there in terms of having both the open hands or both the closed hands. And I think it looks better being symmetrical either way. I like the open hands more, but really whichever you prefer. The one thing that kind of sucks is the open hand that was on one of my sweeps has isn't fully painted like the one on Scourge is, so you can see that it is that lighter blue color plastic. That's not that big a deal. It's also the same as as this guy's right hand, which you can kind of see is that deeper blue plastic. But you know, if you're not looking straight into the palm of their hand, you're hardly ever going to notice that. But yeah, that's what they look like together. We'll bring on the vanilla one here that has the two different hands there. Here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, just for that standard size comparison. And here he is again with Galvatron and Cyclonus, both from Kingdom. So you can see what the three of them look like together. And yeah, you know, it's a fairly good display. You could, if you want, like if you don't want to, you know, I wouldn't blame you for not wanting to buy 4 of the same mold, even if it's a different color, and have 3 sweeps, because it's a Voyager and they cost like $30, so it's a little expensive. So I mean, if you just prefer this color scheme for Scourge, you know, who cares that it says sweep on the box, whatever, that you could just use him as your Scourge, and it does give people another chance to get that figure if they missed out on the first time. But I like having him as the 3 sweeps here to go along with Scourge. And here's what that display looks like together. Again, like in the cartoon, like they pretty much were all the same color, but I prefer having, you know, all 3 of them, all the 3 sweeps be slightly different color from Scourge, just so he's got something that differentiates him from his minions there. But yeah, not really a whole lot else to say about the figure. You know, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Studio Series 86 Voyager Class Sweep.